And Dmitry, your group is out with a new report now detailing how Vladimir Putin has been propped up by imports from China in recent months. Tell me about that.
Absolutely. So what we found at Silverado is that while Russia prosecuted this military campaign very incompetently, their trade and economics people have been much, much better at making the country much more resilient to the sanctions and export controls that the West has instituted against Russia. And in particular, they've been helped by China, that is supplying a lot of goods, especially semiconductors that are critical to their military and economic needs, but also transshipments through former Soviet states. States like Armenia, Belarus, Kazakhstan, and others that are buying Western goods and then reshipping them straight to Russia, so effectively getting around the sanctions that have been put in place.
Isn't Belarus sanctioned as well?
Some of the sanctions are on Belarus, but they're not as comprehensive as they are on Russia.
Well, we've always known that China was helping, but not weaponizing. But this certainly is a big support to the failing Russian military operation. Let's talk about the tanks and the decision-making here in the States. You're such an expert on Vladimir Putin and all things Russia. So whether Russia was responding to the tank announcement, which was certainly signaled from Washington in recent days, our own reporting, or whether this was independently an overnight attack. In either case, it's, again, civilian targets, civilian deaths, and war crimes, arguably. And we're about to hit an anniversary. Is there anything that is going to get Vladimir Putin to the table? Will the tank announcement or anything else that the U.S. resolve is showing get Vladimir Putin to sit down and talk with Zelensky?
I don't believe so, and frankly, the Ukrainians are not interested, as we just heard, in those talks either. Unfortunately, I think this war is going to go on for many months, potentially even years, and that's why Ukrainians are going to need a lot more help. They're going to need more weapons. Tanks are great, but they're going to need fighter jets because without air cover, tanks are not going to be enough, and they're going to need a lot of humanitarian aid. As you know, that's why we're having the event tomorrow unsanctioned with the French ambassador and actor Liev Schreiber, who has a great charity, Blue Check, that is helping provide humanitarian aid to Ukraine. They're going to need a lot more of that going forward.
No, I'm glad you mentioned that. I was just about to, let me just quickly also add, what about the ATACMS? What about the other things that Zelensky is asking for, was already asking for through his deputy defense minister last night?
The biggest thing that the Ukrainian military need is range, ability to project power into Russian territory that is currently out of range of their weapons, even the HIMARS weapons. ATACMS would be of huge help. I think the administration is still holding back on that because they're worried about escalation. And the Russians know that ATACMS could be a game changer in this conflict, and they're probably providing information back channel that this is something that would be a red line for them.